Bum, 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 bum.
Have no fear, Peterson is here. Swift like a bird. Have no fear, Peterson is here. Swift like a bird. Have no fear, Peterson is here. Swift like a bird. Have no fear, Peterson is here. Swift like a bird.
Over here, right? Over here, right?
Have no fear, Peterson is here. So face behind our car.
Over here, right? Lead the way, Emperor!
Swift like a bird.
Hello, hello, everybody.
On my mark, big boy! Over here, right? I can hit them! Lead the way, Emperor! Over here, right?
What the hell?
Have no fear, Peterson is here.
Over here, right? I can hit them! Lead the way, Emperor!
Ich lasse dich zurück, wenn du nicht mithalten kannst.
Lead the way, Emperor!
They need a stack.
Over here, right? Lead the way, Emperor! Lead the way, Emperor!
Hello, Undragon. How you doing? Hope you're doing well today.
Over here, right? Lead the way, Emperor!
Looks like we have control of both sides.
Lead the way, Emperor!
That's good. Did I miss my teleport? I did. Oh well.
Over here, right?
What's up, Armu? How you doing, buddy?
Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor.
Hold their attention as long as possible here, basically.
Ich lasse dich zurück, wenn du nicht mithalten kannst.
I know. You want me to take center stage.
行くぞ、鬼切り。
Wait for the teleport. In the meantime, where'd my merch go? Oh, there he is. Run! There we go. God damn. long as these guys don't sneak it past us, then we should be fine. Runs it. He's dead. Oh, Dookie, run! Good hold. Great hold. You just mop these guys one by one and we should be good. There we go. Good shit, Pukey. Keep going. Coming.
Lead the way, Emperor! Lead the way, Emperor! Over here, right?
We're late. We're late. We're late. We probably have these. Oh well.
Over here, right? Lead the
Alright,
way,
we
Emperor!
need to shift focus here then.
Oh
What are these things called?
Lead the way, Emperor. Over here, right?
You'll die, I will live.
Over here, right?
You want me to take the stage.
Alright. Now that those are reset.
So welt wie ein Orkan.
The greatest magic of the century is before your
Good, good. Got mid control. Just keeping these guys here as long as I can. Might even be able to break this. Let's see. Actually, yeah, ooh. Nice. Gonna get these marches to reset. Be quicker. What is this?
Over here, right? Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor.
Let me see what we can rally here with infantry, maybe.
Over here.
Okay, that'll get full, so we're fine.
Lead the way, Emperor. Over here, right? Lead the way, Emperor.
Where am I here? Oh, I'm gonna turn.
Over here, right?
Let's go like this. Oh shit. Shit. Oh wait, what the fuck? Why did it not? Hold on a minute. Why did it not? Hello? Oh, never mind. What are we at here? 12 minutes is 25. Oh, wait, no, that's not what I meant to do. 15. Just gonna take that back, which is fine. Just occupying.
Over here, right?
Yo, what up everybody? Sorry about missing chat for a minute there, just had to reset markers and stuff. But what's up, Danger Ghost? What's up, Black? How you doing? Yeah, sorry you got registered in NM, buddy. I had no idea about that. It's probably because you were in there pretty late. Or kind of late to come back over, I mean. Actually might be able to be fine with this.
I know. You want me to take center stage.
Or set another rally too.
The greatest magic of the... I know. You want me to take center stage. I'll vanish if you don't keep an eye on me.
Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor.
I'll vanish if you don't keep an eye on me.
I can hit them.
Goddamn, 22 of you guys. How y'all doing?
Was glaubst du, wohin du gehst, ha? So wild wie ein Orkan.
Hope everyone's having a good day today. Beautiful Tuesday.
On my mark, big boy.
Zeig ihnen, wer das Sagen hat.
Shit.
Lead the way, Emperor. On my mark, big boy.
Geh mir aus dem Weg.
Over here, right?
Ich lasse dich zurück, wenn du nichts mithalten kannst.
Coming.
Over here, right? Lead the way, Emperor.
It's a long march.
Over here.
Just keep them occupied.
Lead the way, Emperor.
So wild wie ein Orkan.
Lead the way, Emperor.
Was glaubst du, wohin du gehst, ha?
Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor. Over here.
Click the right march.
Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor.
Watching your streamer realize this game is sound. Playing for 500 days. I had that shit off ever since. I actually had someone else tell me that like last week in my or last week, I guess a few days ago during the AR
Lead the way, Emperor.
streams and stuff. I don't know how you guys do that. Like it would bug me if I couldn't hear anything. Then again, at the same time, like lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor. Like can only hear it so many times before it's fucking annoying. So, anyways.
Over here, right?
What are we at here? Do.
Over here, right?
I know. You want me to take center stage.
Dude, like if I ever have to, like when I played with like Robert as like a lead, Oh my god, man, I had to mute my shit all the time. Could only stand him singing so much. Every single time I clicked on someone.
Lead the way, Emperor. Lead the way, Emperor.
So weit wie einer kann.
Over here, right?
Just gonna break into this real quick before going middle.
I can hit them.
Let it reset. These guys will probably go for my marches. Let it reset.
Ich lasse dich zurück, wenn du nichts mithalten kannst.
Just want to keep him distracted from grouping mid early. Seems Julia Bard looks deadly. Your first thoughts on new heroes. It's overtuned as fuck. It's way overtuned. They're shifting the meta for sure, which I completely understand. But we've kind of seen it before with, like, I mean, I don't know if anyone here's like played like World of Warcraft or any other type of games, but they've tried to like shift metas before as well by just like increasing the amount of damage that you see on the screen, like your damage numbers and stuff like that. And eventually over time that just doesn't work. Overtuning heroes and stuff like that, like, it's really muddy water to tread from my perspective. My perspective on it is that, like, you do two things. You kind of upset everybody that has invested in prior ranged heroes and all the gold relics and stuff like that into it, because now you've sort of made almost every other ranged hero irrelevant for rallies and such. I mean, granted, you're obviously going to use Julia with him, or you might use Louis. Like, that's great. But point being, like, you introduce a way overtuned hero like that, you're kind of put in a corner where you have to do one of two things. Either A, you have to now give that same amount of damage to all your new heroes coming out and shift the meta that way, which is fine. But in the meantime, you kind of upset everybody where that's using infantry or rider. They don't dish out nearly as much damage as that, or have really any way to compete with that. And so you do upset them by having a way overtuned hero like that. But at the same time, if you decide to roll it back and say nerf Bard and bring it down to a more realistic number, then you run the risk of basically upsetting everybody that invests into Bard for the overtunement. So you kind of back yourself into a corner there, where now you're kind of stuck with the decision that you rolled out. So it's very hard to say, you know, like, what's the right thing to do. I think he's a solid hero. I think he's great. I think that his kit is wonderful. I think that ranged needed something that would be able to break into garrisons and stuff like that. I think that they had that already with Julia, but, you know, this definitely brings a new meta to the table, or a new way to be able to do it, which I'm totally fine with. I just think that the numbers are a bit extreme with no counter to it. You make it to where he does 54% bonus damage or whatever, or skill damage to garrison, which is fine, but the 12% bonus damage taken in return is also a wonderful way to balance it out, but making it to where only garrison deals that bonus damage to him is kind of irrelevant. You know, garrison isn't there to dish out a lot of damage most of the time. Most of the time it is a survivability based garrison. And so you kind of render that part of the counter that you were looking to do, which I see where they're trying to approach it, useless. If they were to make it to where they took 12.5% bonus damage from all sources, meaning that counter rallies and swarms and stuff like that still had an opportunity to swarm him down, then I think that would be more balanced. Then the extra damage wouldn't be such a game-breaking factor, because you would have a way to now just focus him. Like, you would immediately have everybody shift their field fighting and rally attention to him to swarm him down, and he runs the risk of, okay, I'm dealing bonus damage, but the longer that I keep this rally up, the more damage I'm going to take, and, you know, at that point you're taking a lot more heavily wounded or losses or whatever have you. So that kind of balances out the mechanic. But when you make it to where it's only garrison dealing that bonus damage, and garrison is getting melted with the bonus skill damage, it kind of renders it irrelevant, in my opinion. So I think that they could have done better. But I see the way that they're trying to go with it. I fuck with the vision of, like, the meta shift. Totally fine with that. I just think it's a bit too much. Like it tips the scale too far, too quick, in my opinion. New heroes, why don't you make like a hero review on them? The reason why I don't really do hero reviews is because there's already a lot of people in the community that do those. For example, Armu Red GG here, I know that he does those. I know that Panda does them. I know that Brain does them. There's already a lot of big named and very knowledgeable people in the community that do those. It feels kind of redundant to make an additional video on it because there's only so many differences that I would cover than what everybody else would talk about when we're all talking about the same hero, same experiences and stuff like that. So since there's not as much content there to make it so diverse, there's no real point in me making, again, redundant content to like what they're doing. You know, I'm happy to voice my opinion on it and stuff like that, but I don't think that it's worthy of, you know, needing to make a whole new video when there's 3 or 4 other very knowledgeable content creators in the community that do the same thing already. Writers feel useless, have less role except rating farm. That's exactly my point. I really liked the meta with writers when, you know, they introduced like Elena, for example. It brought Elena and Sven. You know, you saw Sven as lead for Garrison, or not Garrison, sorry, but rallies against garrisons. You saw Elena doing well with counter rallies and stuff like that. Like I felt like it brought so much more to the table. I think that May even was solid because it introduces that ability to have a quick, you know, field fighting march to hit cement farmers and all the rest of those things. Totally fine there as well. I mean, shit, it even brought Cynthia to having some relevance and stuff like that in the game too. I think that they had it in a really good place. But again, you're doing something to where, like, why were people spending 2-to-1 gold relics on May, and you just introduced a brand new hero that outclasses and outdamages May like 4-to-1, you know, like in any scenario. Or sorry, in terms of like rallies and stuff. Like I don't know, you've kind of backed everybody into a corner to basically say like ranged is the meta now in terms of like rallies. There's no point in setting rider rallies at all. Like, yeah, you can get the flank damage from Elena, you know, the bonus shield damage from Bella if they have like a Riven or a Rygoro on Garrison. Yeah, that's all there. But I would still say that, like, with good armaments that offer like rally skill damage or flat damage and stuff like that, like you're like the multiplicative there is just so much more beneficial if you just go straight ranged and use Bard at that point. That there's no point in using anything else. There's no point in running Miyamoto, or is that his name? Yeah, Miyamoto rallies. I had a fucking at a moment there. Miyamoto rallies anymore, Adot rallies, you know, even like Eddie Jin rallies for sustain. Like there's no point. You just take the 54% bonus skill damage and you break into their garrison as quick as possible. So I don't know. So strong, Bard seems to tip the scales on. Yeah, that's exactly my point. I think that they did well with the silence nerf to make it more balanced, to where the silence is still a mechanic that counters Thunder's heal, and I mean, like, Thunder's heal isn't even really a mechanic. I would say like his damage reduction that comes out from his rage skill and stuff like that. Like the silence worked really well to counter garrisons. There wasn't really a need for this high of skill damage. Or at least this high of skill damage unpunished, I would say. To have this much bonus damage without anything in any form of a punishment to it, it doesn't seem balanced, in my opinion. And that, again, that's kind of my point, is that, you know, there's games out there, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Path of Exile, Diablo, you know, all these other, like, look at any RPG, MMOs, strategy games, things like that. They've all crossed this murky water before, where they wanted to shift the meta and change the way that things were going and the way that players played and stuff like that. And almost every single one of them, if not every single one of them, have made the mistake of doing an overtunement or release something that just shifted it way too far, way too quick. And the community gets very upset about it. And they've all handled it differently. They've all gone about it differently. Most of them have dialed it back, done nerfs. Some of them had to roll out new champions, new skills, new talents and stuff like that in their games quicker to try to hurry up and rebalance the meta and stuff. But during that in-between phase of whatever they choose to do, players are very upset. And there's no right way to correct what you've done once you've done it. Because again, you know, if they choose to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and roll it back, so from 54% bonus skill damage, it's now 25. Well, congrats, you just upset everybody that spent 680 relics to get them awakened because they wanted the 54% bonus skill damage. Or if you leave it, you know, and you say, oh, like, we're going to introduce other heroes that will deal just as much damage, well, then that's fine. But in the meantime, everybody that doesn't have those new heroes, or until you release them, everyone's still upset. And also, every other infantry and rider hero that you've released prior to this that doesn't deal as much damage, you've rendered useless. So that it's just, there's no right answer, no way to correct it once you've already made the mistake. There's no, this is the best way to go. So it's just going to really boil down to whatever they choose to do, and I'll be interested to see what they do in that case. Are very strong and pretty OP if new riders were added. I doubt that they will replace those two, maybe Bell, but not those two. Yeah, no, it shouldn't be like that. That's my whole point, right? Is that it shouldn't be a factor, a matter of replacing. A game like this where people are spending money and copious amounts of time, if you're a free-to-play or a low spender, to get a hero awakened, you never want to hear that the hero that you spent the last 6, 12 months or hundreds of dollars awakening is all of a sudden being replaced. Nobody wants to hear that. It should be compliments, right? Like, it should make it to where the new hero releases and the new additions that you bring to the game should complement the kits of the existing heroes that you already have. It shouldn't be that every few months you just rotate out the old heroes. Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4 are now useless. Now you have to use Gen 5. Otherwise, you never take good trades. Like, you should just have, like, okay, Gen 4 meta is around high rally skill damage or high garrison skill damage. So the next generation of heroes should complement that with either more sustain or something. Like, it should be complementary as you move along. It shouldn't be a replacement mechanic or a replacement factor. If all you're doing is releasing heroes to replace the old, all you're doing is pissing off all the players that have spent on the old. Not everybody has the ability to awaken every single new gen hero that comes out every single time that they do. And so as you do this whole release and replace methodology of things, you're really just, again, upsetting all free-to-play and low spenders. There's no way for them to keep up. Who's to tell a free-to-play or small spender that the hero that they're spending on right now isn't going to be replaced 2 months from now? I've seen some archers with 50% to 60% increased skill damage already, so if we increase another 50%, it crosses into that 100% increased territory for 13k and 26. Let's say Julian is assistant or bard here. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Completely understand. Let me see. Hans has 72% skill damage on his. So, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Sorry, 1 second. I have a phone call. Sorry, my dad's coming into town, so we're gonna go get lunch here in a minute. But yeah, that's kind of my perspective on it with the whole thing. I think that I understand that the meta should shift with every new generation of heroes that comes out. That is how you keep the game fresh. That is how you keep the game alive. That is how you keep the game interesting. But in a game that you have so many pay-to-win factors already, and so many other elements to increase the buffs and the damage and the sustain and everything that your heroes are already doing through armaments, through equipment, through vehicles, through skins, through shelter skins, squad march skins, everything. Since there's already so many other factors, the one thing that you should keep consistent for your free-to-play and small spenders is their ability to compete in terms of, like, their heroes. Keep the heroes balanced, let the meta shift, but do so in a natural way that you can make it obvious that the meta is shifting towards another mechanic in the game or a different type of play style without rendering everything that a free-to-play player or small spender has spent on and spent their time on useless until they, until months later when they're able to get, that next hero acquired or awakened or whatever have you. Because by that time, you're probably now looking to release the next generation of heroes, and you just, again, continue to keep your free-to-play and small spenders out of the game. Yes, the game is built around the fact that money needs to be spent in order to keep the game sustained. I'm not foreign to that at all. I understand that mechanic. But, unless you have active players in your game, there's nobody for your whales to play with or against. Whales make up such a small volume of the game. They obviously make up a large portion of the spending, yes, but they make up a large portion of the volume, and it's, whales aren't always just fighting other whales. Their alliances are filled with 80%, 85%, small spenders or free-to-play players. In the majority of alliances, I'm not talking about just Titan alliances. That's kind of an outlier. Should not nullify old ones. That's exactly my point, is that it should complement the previous things that you have released. The next meta should complement the previous metas by introducing new mechanics. And when you introduce new mechanics, the only way to introduce new mechanics, like for example a silence or a heal, is that if you introduce something like a healing factor, bring out a silence or bring out a healing reduction. There needs to maintain balance. For every new mechanic that you bring into the game, there needs to be an equal or almost equal of benefit counter mechanic. What do you think of Lynn, her counter damage and getting? I know I haven't really looked into her too much per se, as much as Bard, because she's definitely not as game breaking. She seems very solid in the field. There's no game breaking mechanic about her. She just seems like a very complimentary ranged hero. She brings a field focus for ranged that was already there, but brings, again, complementing mechanics to where, because she's not rallying or in garrison, she has bonus statistics and bonus buffs and stuff like that comes with. So that's perfect. She is a great example of that. No, I agree, Armu. You can tell that you can already tell that it was archer focused for months, because the only thing that they have nerfed or paid attention to in terms of like what mechanic needed to be fixed was the silence. Wales, it's only about 10% of the population. Yeah, 10% of the population, 90% of the spending. But no, like, you cannot have an active game without your free-to-play players and your low spenders. Because if you kill those guys off, there's no volume to fill alliances, there's no volume for events, and eventually the game just dies. It's a ticking time bomb. So, as much as I can sit here and judge their ill approach with Bard, again, I'm not someone that likes to complain about something without having an answer or a resolution for something. Otherwise, I feel like you're just putting noise into the air. Like, to me, like, if you want to say that something is bad, like, offer a resolution, right? But this is this is history repeating itself. We've seen it happen with so many games. There's no easy answer to fix a highly overtuned release of a hero mechanic, or a hero in this case. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I'm probably repeating what a lot of other people have said. This is kind of the same sentiment that I've seen on like English chat and Discord and stuff like that. I usually try to keep my opinion to myself on things like this, but this is like way overtuned, honestly. And I would say, like, good luck to anybody that doesn't have really good armaments on garrison. Garrisons just aren't going to last that long, which also like kind of brings up like another point that has been discussed for a while now, which is that like people hate the fact that it takes so long to have towers meet and actually get into like the meat of the game when it comes to like AR and Island Raid, with Island Raid having like the tower limits, AR, your block behind checkpoints for days. So now that you're making it to where, or now that your towers are touching, 3 or 4 days into the event, as soon as they're touching, that they just don't last nearly as long. It's not as exciting of a fight because everybody's just going to run Bard and towers are going to go down quick. Will a rider-based garrison help out? Does John require a rework? There's no real heroes that work on garrison in terms of rider. I guess that like you could theoretically create a garrison armament set for riders to make it work, but there's no like garrison specific ones. Like we were looking at Jonathan because his kit, like when you look at it, requiring to be a target or the target to be a rally, or if you're in alliance territory, being on garrison fulfills that those requirements. And so theoretically you could use them on garrison, and I have, and it works, but there's no garrison focused heroes. It would be cool if they end up releasing a garrison focused rider hero, and then yeah, you could go a garrison armament set and be good to go. I think that would be way cool. I think that would be a fun meta shift, a fun way to let people utilize their riders in a different way. Does say that she shouldn't be optimal on rallies of garrison, but she gives 32% counter damage. I feel like she'd be pretty good on rallies with that counter damage increase. Would you replace Julia's silence for her counter damage? No, I wouldn't replace Julia with it. Hold on, let me just click through this real quick. Oh shit. Sorry. I have not had coffee today. I did not sleep well last night because the little one is still on the tail end of being sick, so I can only do or focus on one thing at a time. So give me 1 second, sorry. Okay, so let's dial back to your question real quick. So with Lynn,
This exoskeleton is not cold at all.
counter damage 30. Yeah, but you can't really just look at counter damage as being a means to say like all of a sudden they're really good on rallies. If you're gonna drop, you lose out on so many other pieces of her kit by focusing on one point. That would be like, so let's just like, I'll just use this report for example, I guess. Someone using, I just need someone with like a ranged hero. Okay. So if I go into the ranged or this combat log here and go to his ranged march, and where is it? Let's just look. So Julia's counterattack killed 1,300 troops, right? So in one turn, his Julia killed off 1,334 troops. But his skill. Yeah, 1354. 20,000. So a 30% increase in counter damage, if mathematically correct, would make it to where he, instead of killing off 1,300 troops, killed off 1,600 troops. Whereas if you had a 30% increase in skill damage, that would instead be 6,000 troops. So yeah, you might be killing off 300 more troops per turn, or per skill cycle you're killing off an additional 1,800 troops, but that still doesn't nearly equate to killing off an additional 6,000 troops every 6 to 7 seconds instead of 1,800 or 2,000 troops during that same time frame. So I wouldn't say that the counter damage is anywhere near the means to focus in terms of like rallies and stuff like that. On garrison, counter damage is a great thing because you're not dealing basic attack damage to any other rally that's hitting you. So if you're getting hit by 3 rallies, you're dealing counter damage to all 3. You're only dealing basic damage to the one that you're focusing on. So counter damage is great on garrison, but your argument is basically saying that it's the counter damage on the rally is dependent on your rally getting targeted or swarmed. And if you're only getting focused on one by one counter rally to your rally, you're not really dealing much counter damage. Like the amount of troops you're killing off, it doesn't really make sense to focus on counter damage being the one mechanic that you want to use to determine that it's like a good rally hero. I would still say that for rallies on ranged heroes with Bard coming out, I would say a Julia Bard or a Louis Bard is your best way to go, by far. So no. And the silence, I would say, is probably one of the most game-breaking factors when it comes to Garrison. Silence, by far, counters Garrison in so many different ways. When Garrisons have Victors, Jacobs, Rivens now, you're silencing the Thunder. Like, don't even worry about Thunder Heal. Thunder Heal is irrelevant in every game. It is, but reducing the amount of times that the marches and the rallies are basically debuffed, or if they have a Rigoro, reducing the amount of times that they're blocking damage. The silence is invaluable when it comes to a rally. I think that that's one of Rally's like best perks currently. I do have to wrap up the stream, though, because I do have to dip to go to lunch with my dad, who came into town here in a few minutes. But if there's any last-minute questions, I'm free to answer them. I'll leave the stream up for a couple more minutes if there's any other questions. Oh, got people messaging. Oh. What do we got? Oh yeah, this is the alliance that we just fought. Kind of a mismatch. Not really, actually. I think in Pompeii it was pretty fair. Yeah, it was pretty even. What up, Chaos? Meta shift right now. Oh, meta might shift if silence is removed from archers and given to riders. It's funny that you say that, because I actually brought that up. I thought that it would be really cool to have, like Garrisons having a silence. Like, you don't necessarily need it per se. Garrisons already have so much sustain, damage reduction, and a lot of like really good heroes that give good damage anyways. I think the Garrison's in a good spot. But I think that riders specifically could use a silence. I think that'd be way cool. Answering questions. See. Hey, yeah, no, I appreciate it. By all means, let me know when you want to work on that other video. Like I said, I'll be free. My schedule's usually completely free, but my dad came into town. He had to come pick up something, so he's grabbing lunch. But yeah, I'll be free anytime, man. Just let me know. Everyone else, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. As always, hoping you all have a good day, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you guys later.